All right, I'm going to start things off by introducing Dave Dempsey first. Many of you may know of Dave. I met Dave when I was working in the legislature many moons ago, and Dave was always impressive. Dave has been active in conservation and environmental policy since 1982. He's also the author or co-author of 9 books on environmental subjects, as well as the award-winning William G. Milliken, Michigan's Passionate Moderate, a biography of Michigan's longest-serving governor, and Ink Trails 1 and 2 about Michigan writers, co-authored with his brother Jack. Dave is currently senior advisor to FLOW, a Traverse City-based water law and policy center dedicated to upholding the public's rights to use and benefit from the Great Lakes. Dave's got an impressive resume. He has more than 35 years of experience in environmental policy, serving as environmental advisor to Michigan Governor James J. Blanchard, as executive director for the Michigan Environmental Council, as a presidential appointee to the Great Lakes Fishery Commission, as communications director for Conservation Minnesota, and as a policy advisor for the International Joint Commission. Dave is also past president and co-founder of the Mid-Michigan Environmental Action Council. His policy record includes work on Michigan's first Great Lakes water diversion ban, toxic cleanup, recycling promotions, groundwater protection, sand dune conservation, and protection of Michigan's Natural Resources Trust Fund. In 2009, the Michigan Center for the Book, the Michigan Library Association, and Sleeping Bear Press gave Dave the Michigan Author Award. Dave has a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Western Michigan University and a master's degree in resource development from Michigan State University. Someone I'm proud to call a friend, Dave Dempsey.
Thank you. Good evening. It's so nice to be here to see familiar faces and to learn that Mid-Michigan Environmental Action Council has continued and thrived since the 1990s when we first met in a little conference room and 6 or 7 of us had a dream that Mid-Michigan would have an Environmental Action Council like Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan. MidMEAC turned out to be a really important force, and I'm pleased to see everybody here tonight. I have an announcement to make. I'm going to be very short because we need to have more time for Pat Lindeman's speech at the end of the event, so at least a half hour, right, Pat? Anyway, I'm here to talk a little bit about the Big Read. Before I do that, I want to let you know I brought a number of copies of my latest book, which is Great Lakes Fact or Fake, and they're going to be free to anybody who wants one. It's a book that basically tries to break down Great Lakes information into questions and answers in a fun way that will help you and your family and your friends learn more about our fresh water, which is 20% of the surface fresh water in the world. But the Big Read, the book that's the centerpiece of the Big Read, is called Fuzz, When Nature Breaks the Law. And it's about the interaction between human beings and wildlife and other forms of life as we encroach upon habitat. And I wanted to read a story from one of my own books, Half Wild, which is on point with the Big Read. This about a personal experience that I had. In 1968, when I was 11 years old, my family traveled by station wagon from Dearborn, where we lived, to Houghton, where my grandfather lived. As I remember it, my 2 brothers and I took turns sitting on a rear-facing deployable seat in the back of a station wagon. It was a perch in which on every trip, it seemed, one of us got motion sickness, causing a roadside stop while the victim got nauseous in the weeds. The flipping stomachs were worth it. By the time we arrived in Houghton, we had become happily acclimated to a new way of being. Although still in the station wagon, we were moving among thick roadside forests and passing small, shining lakes. And at a few points along the way, the road suddenly emerged onto the shoreline of Lake Superior, taking my breath away because its majesty was self-apparent. We met my grandfather in Houghton, where he lived at this time, and we discussed what we would do for tourist attractions while we were up there. And my grandfather suggested that we go to a Copper Harbor town dump, because that's where the bears were. It was an open dump. And more than a half century later, I can't recall how the discussion proceeded, but I must have become very excited. Bears had not rambled through my home city of Dearborn in 100 years. All I knew about bears until then came from watching Yogi Bear and learning about them from cartoons. So when we drove out to the open dump in Copper Harbor, my father took photos of the scene. Perhaps a half dozen cars parked at the edge of the dump. Piles of rotting trash and refuse in dumpsters lay beckoning for the bears. 3 or 4 feasted, seemingly unaware, but surely very aware, of the gawking tourists. The bears' performance was authentic and unrehearsed. They smelled easy food and they capitalized on it. The scene was like this, as described by the Detroit Free Press. A woman toting a green plastic bag of garbage rushed through the assembly of 30 people and a half dozen bears, hurled her burden on a smoldering pile of stinking garbage, and retreated to watch. The largest of the bears, a sow weighing perhaps 400 pounds, waddled over, stood in the bag, splitting it open, and began nuzzling among the coffee grounds, the tin cans, chicken bones, and watermelon rinds. "Get its picture, Phil," said another woman. "Here, get me in it too." She stood within 15 feet of the bear so her husband could get her and the bear in the same picture. Then fast forward 15 years later, I was working for the governor of Michigan, and one of the big issues was trash, solid waste. And one of the issues that we faced was that there were 40 or 50 unprotected dumps in the Upper Peninsula that needed to be closed and needed to be graded and protected from contaminating the groundwater. And we came up with a program, a state program, to provide grants to communities to close their dumps. The folks in Copper Harbor had no interest in closing their dump. That was their tourist attraction. They had thousands of dollars coming into their community every year for people who would drive to watch the bears in the dump. So after 7 years, we finally convinced them to take the money and close the dump. I just want to close this by reading from the final part of this story. Closure of the dump does not equal closure to the issues it raised. What becomes of an animal's wild nature when it is conditioned by human beings to feast from our waste scraps? Is it still wild, or is it a tourism prop like a circus animal? What does wild even mean when it comes to bears living practically side by side with humans? I have thought about all these things, but I have few answers. So I think the Big Read is designed to get people to think more about these issues and questions. What is wild? What is human influence? And what can we do to separate and restore and protect the wildness of animals as we spread out throughout their habitat? So that's my reading. I guess turn back to you.
All right. Thank you, Dave. As always, a pillar of wisdom.
Pillar.
One group I did neglect to thank is our current board for Mid-Michigan Environment and Action Council. If you can raise your hand, acknowledge these individuals who work hard throughout the year to keep MidMEAC going, and former board members like Nancy and others. But, with our land use lunches and stream monitoring and the Big Read that Teresa Lark, our executive director, is going to tell you about in just a few minutes. We do a lot of work behind the scenes. We like to do more action than actually policy making and everything else. And we think we have a good effect in the area, and we appreciate everyone who comes to our events. So this time I'd like to introduce our executive director, Teresa Lark. Teresa? Tell us about the Big Read. What is it?
The Big Read. We feel really honored to have been granted this from the National Endowment for the Arts. National Endowment for the Arts, speak up. Don, I didn't see you come in. I'm doing good. National Endowment for the Arts and Arts Midwest are operating something called the Big Read. We are going to be hosting a series of events. This is the kickoff. We're going to be hosting a series of events through May the 9th, where we'll be doing an America 250 event, hopefully at the Montgomery Track. So that is one of the projects that's being honored tonight. I love how this event is wrapping around water. How everything about it comes back to the essential ingredient for life, water. And what a great serendipitous moment that MSU's got this beautiful exhibition that, in my mind, looks like water. So I'm so happy you came with us tonight. I hope that you will look at our website, look at what's up front, that it tells you about the events we're going to have. We're going to be doing a series of creative writing workshops. One of those, at least one, will be based on poetry. So one of our honored guests, I'm going to foreshadow, one of our people that's going to be speaking tonight is Relaine Stokes, who is a poet laureate. I was going to say poet emeritus, I don't know why I want to say that. Poet laureate for the city of Lansing. And she's going to be doing a creative writing workshop among our, I have to say, we could not have gotten this grant without the support of Capital Area District Libraries. And so they will be also offering 2 creative writing workshops. And we hope to feature other people who are in the room. Sorry, I digress. Other people who are in the room are, why do I want to? Because they're right there. We're going to have LCC, Capital City Film Festival, Peppermint Creek Theater is going to be doing a staged reading. We'll be doing that over at the MSU Horticultural Gardens. It's going to be a great series of events, and I hope that as many people who can and want to will be at many or most of these events. And then at the end, right now, we're looking at a tentative date of May 9th. Hopefully at the Montgomery Drain, we'll be wrapping this up with an America 250 event that the National Endowment for the Arts has asked us to host. And I hope that you all will want to be there to see the project that was done, if you have not already seen the project that was done at Montgomery Drain. And some of the work that some of the people will be doing that comes out of these creative writing workshops. So that's what the big read is. Tennessee asked me tonight to get up here and say this. Everybody knows I don't like to be in front of crowds, but it's okay. Here I am, and I hope that you enjoyed your evening and enjoy what's coming next as we honor. No, it's me.
Yeah, it's you.
He ran this by me for this. Okay.
Our Distinguished Service Award.
Distinguished Service Award. We are absolutely delighted to have 2 of MidMEAC's founding members here tonight, Pal Lindeman and Dave Dempsey. We wouldn't be here without their vision of what this region can be and what it takes to protect our environment, which in my mind runs like a river through water. You cannot have a healthy community without clean water. So, tonight's honoree, native to Michigan, came from the west side. That's okay, we don't hold it against him. He never met a ranger station he didn't like. It took him, family liked to camp. It took him 5 years, 4 years, 250 credits. Yeah, 5 years, 250 credits at Michigan State University to achieve his master's because he just couldn't stop. He just couldn't stop learning. And he's done everything from listening ear to theater direction and environmental science. And 4 decades as an educator based in environmental science. I'm going to let him speak more. He can say more eloquently than I. Mr. Dave Chapman, who without him, I don't know where MidMEAC would be today.
Oh, you do too.
This is the man who invented the stormwater floodplain system. He's on a slide here. What was his other? Come up here, Dave. Come on up. Tell us what you did.
Good. It's loud. I'll have to speak loud enough. People in the back can hear. It's a little hard. The acoustics in here aren't great. This is a great honor, and I really appreciate this. Groups like MidMEAC, I suspect when they're looking for people to give awards like this to, tend to look for people who have organized great projects or impacted public policy. So the fact that they're giving an award to an educator and to me because of the education things I've done feels very special. But I suspect that like a healthy ecosystem, we need diversity. We need people who come to this effort to try to do good about our environment and our health with a lot of different skills and talents and backgrounds. And I think of Dave Dempsey, who got started early, had a calling to do something with public policy, and then later using his skills as a researcher and a writer to write some really wonderful books. And you have Pat Lindeman, of course, who's going to probably be up here talking shortly. There's no occasion when I haven't heard him talking. Pat, with his knowledge, his attention to detail, his system thinking, his imagination and creativity, and I think we can say a very healthy ego, have all helped him achieve some wonderful things. He's created unique, internationally recognized, and environmentally sound solutions to watershed problems. There are some of you that may come to this tonight and to this effort as scientists or engineers, some of you as lawyers, some of you, bless your hearts, your unique skill is giving money. And I suspect Teresa really appreciates that skill, but hopes she will improve on that talent in the coming year. You know, I think, though, in whatever role, whatever unique niche in working to protect the environment, you can find for yourself that you will think of part of your job, part of your opportunity to also include education. And certainly Dave and his books do a lot to educate the people who read them and his speaking. I think Pat, with his attention to signage and art installations that he's putting into some of his watershed projects, his drainage projects, and his support and encouragement for having tours leading people through those projects to explain them, clearly is showing an understanding of the importance of education. And we have people here who are in the arts, and I imagine there may be people here who do other kinds of communication jobs that are also doing education, and I think that's really important. So I appreciate this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Congratulations again on all your efforts. Oh, photo op.
We have some kind of photo opportunity of you
Oh, a thing.
accepting our award.
Oh, this is.
It's a Motali.
Yeah, Motali. Beautiful. Where am I?
Then, to anybody? There she is. There's my
Oh,
there's my
there's
lady.
it. Okay.
Chloe, who stepped in.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Congratulations, Dave.
Thank you.
At
At this time, we're fortunate to have with us Rulaine Stokes, Lansing's Poet Laureate.
Are we taking a break first?
No, right over the break. So, Rulaine, if you can come on up. She's going to share some wonderful art with us today. She's been a leader in regards to getting a grant so that we can put some poems up in some of the drains. We're going to start off with Colgate Drain. And hopefully this spring get those poems installed. But just to add another jewel to these beautiful projects that the Drain Commission is working on.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. A couple years ago, I got selected as a Lansing Poet Laureate. And I had this idea that, well, my mission as a laureate was to engage people with poetry. And so I wanted to make poetry visible to everybody, not just poetry geeks, you know, people who seek out poetry hidden in bookstores. So I wanted to put it where you just had to read it. So I thought about putting it up on signs along walking paths that a lot of people already walked along. So I started thinking about, well, what kind of signs would be good? What kind of signs would be durable? And I was looking at signs all over Lansing and East Lansing. My friend Nan Jackson said there are some great signs at this place called Tollgate. So I said, okay, I went to Tollgate, and I fell in love with the signs because they are beautiful, they're incredibly durable, they're incredibly practical, and not all signs are. So I called the office of the Drain Commissioner, and almost instantly I was tromping all over the Montgomery Drain with Pat Lindeman and getting sort of a remedial education in what happens to the rain after it falls from the sky, which was very good to know about because I knew there was such a thing as stormwater, I knew there was such a thing as floods, but I didn't think about why or how or where and what the people who were preventing that might do about it. So I wrote a grant and I got some money to create actually a poetry contest called We Are Water and to engage an artist who's creating beautiful, beautiful signs that are going to go up in Tollgate. Well, because I created this poetry contest, I thought, you know, here I am the laureate, I should maybe see if I could write one of these poems, otherwise, you know, I'd be kind of a fake. So I started working on a poem, thinking about the We Are Water thing. And the more I thought about it, and the more I learned about it, I realized that even though I'd always been told, our bodies were a certain percent of water, I thought of my body as a solid that had some water in it. And the more I learned my body was water that had some solids in it. And that was a really big revelation to me. This poem is about that, and it's called Body of Water. Okay. I am awash in water. My mouth is a wet cave, my flapping tongue coated with saliva. A musty dam gathers under my arms and between my toes. Tears shield my eyes. My thoughts hire messengers to navigate the canals in my brain. My heart speaks in iambic verse, embraces my body in a vast net of arteries, veins, and microscopic capillaries lying next to every cell. Did I tell you that 70% of each cell is water? That each cell is surrounded by water? Water within water. I am a walking, talking body of water mixed with stardust and time. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Elaine. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It really helps cap off part of this evening. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Patrick Lindemann. And I've got quite the pages here to talk about him. I tried to keep it brief, but it wasn't easy. So, also, I'd like to note that Pat's two deputies are here, Paul Peratt and Carla Close, and they really helped Pat complete these projects. I mean, without their service, these projects wouldn't get done, and they wouldn't get done on time, and they wouldn't get done under budget. So, their efforts are greatly appreciated. So if you don't know Pat Lindemann, take a seat, because I'm going to entertain you for a few minutes. Patrick Lindemann was first elected as the Ingham County Drain Commissioner in 1992, an office he has redefined to reflect his environmental stewardship ethic and systems approach to stormwater management. He's received international, national, state, and local recognition and awards for his innovative drain projects. Two of his award-winning projects, the Tollgate Wetland Stormwater Facility in the city of Lansing and Lansing Township, and the Tower Rain Gardens in East Lansing and Meridian Township, are first-of-their-kind urban retrofit projects using low-impact design as a stormwater management tool to better protect the environment while saving costs on such large-scale projects. Drain Commissioner Lindemann is known for finding such win-win solutions. These projects were highlighted in the Clean Water Action publication on American Rivers entitled The Greening of Stormwater, Michigan Communities, Saving Money, Beautifying Neighborhoods, and Protecting Lakes and Streams. And guess who authored that? Well, Dave Dempsey. So, small world here. Pat was named the 2007 Hero of the Lakes by the Clean Water Action Council, a national advocacy organization that has over 1 million members. During his 30 years as drain commissioner, he's overseen the construction and maintenance of millions of dollars of drain improvements that had opened the way for hundreds of millions of dollars of new economic growth in Ingham County, as well as cleaning Michigan's water resources. Mr. Lindemann has been an elected official for 42 years total, 42 years of public service. He's worked closely with lake associations and homeowner groups in Ingham County to facilitate solutions when water quantity and quality problems have occurred and to promote watershed management. He's made it a point to implement low-impact design features, increase the use of native plants, and promote clean water education in drain projects of any size. His approach to infrastructure retrofits is visionary. It is the spearhead of true source control management, stopping the migration of pollution where it starts. He uses these low-impact design elements instead of the more expensive and less environmentally friendly traditionally engineered solutions. These traditional engineered solutions include large concrete pipes, detention basins, and underground vaults, which are less responsive to the unique characteristics of each watershed. Some of the low-impact designs included in his projects are rain gardens and bioswales in the Tower Garden, Tower Smell drainage districts, the design for a wetland filtration system in Tollgate Drainage District in Lansing Township in the city of Lansing. In Michigan, it was the first of its kind and it received national and international awards. Mr. Lindemann holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Michigan State University in Resource Development with credits in an advanced degree in fluvial physics and geomorphology. Mr. Lindemann served on the Lansing City Council for 12 years, representing Lansing's first ward. He's past president of the Michigan Association of County Drain Commissioners and has served on their board of directors in various leadership positions and MACDC's committee for more than 15 years. Pat's done it all, from being a butcher, a small business owner, a skilled fly fisherman, and an accomplished artist, to the dedicated public servant that he is now. Oh, and if we didn't tell you, Pat's also past president and co-founder of the Mid-Michigan Environmental Action Council. But tonight we want to acknowledge his work on the Montgomery Drain. The Ingham County Drain Commissioner has rebuilt this 100-year-old urban storm drain using creative storm drain infrastructure. 96% of the 50,000 to 75,000 pounds of pollution per year that were currently being dumped into the Red Cedar River in Lansing is eliminated. The current Montgomery Drain Stormwater Improvement Project repaired sections of the existing drain and added new facilities including detention ponds, rain gardens, and low-impact design features. Areas in this drain impacted 5 municipalities, which include the former Red Cedar Golf Course, the MDOT right-of-way on Michigan Avenue, the Frandor shopping area, and the Frandora Hills neighborhood. The project was initiated in 2014. However, construction began in 2020 and will finish in 2026. The Michigan Association of County Drain Commissioners will be presenting Pat Lindeman with their 2026 Award for Innovation and Excellence for this project next week. Please allow me to congratulate Pat Lindeman, as MidMEAC is also proud to recognize him as the winner of MidMEAC's 2026 Water Protection Award. Pat, please tell us more about the Montgomery Drain Project, and as you often say, what's clean water worth?
What is clean water worth? It's a question we ask ourselves many times in many ways. And before I start on the Montgomery Drain and how I wound up coming up with that idea, I'd like to introduce Paul Pratt, my deputy. Paul. And Carla Close, my other deputy. Brian and his crew of engineers. Brian, hold your hand up. Okay. And Tim Ingman, wherever Tim is. Okay, there he is. And his crew. All of you guys from Spicer. You in whatever firm Brian works for now. I can't remember the name of it. There's so many engineering firms, but those two and my deputies, which put up with me for X number of years to create this project, went to meeting after meeting after meeting just to get my ideas. And I changed my mind several times, and they had to re-engineer it, and so on and so forth. It's odd that we look at stormwater as a problem, when in fact, stormwater isn't a problem. It's our friend. We seldom look at it as our friend. For 400 years, we've abused this planet. We have built drainage districts which dump the water, wholesale dump it, into the rivers and onto the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes, by the way, is 20% of the world's fresh water. Figure that out. 20% of the world's fresh water, and it takes Canada, the Indian tribes, their reservations, in 4 or 5 states, 6, 7, 8 states, to dump their sewage in it for all those years. Well, it's about time that we drew a line in the sand and made sure that that didn't happen again. And if I have anything to say about it, it never will. I'm getting a little teary-eyed because this is a subject that's dear to my heart. For years, ever since I was a little kid, I've dreamed of managing water. Today, we actually manage water between point A and point B. We don't push it from point A to point B, which is the receiving body. We don't do that anymore. We keep it, and we extract all the pollution from it. In the Montgomery Drain particularly, we have arranged to keep 2.5, understand that 2/3 of this project is in the floodplain, but 2.5 inches of water remains held by our drain and cleaned. If you know anything about pollution, you'll understand that 2.5 inches of water, the first 1 inch, you get about 65% of the pollution. The next inch, you get something in the vicinity of 30%. The next half an inch, you get something like 6 or 7% of all the pollution. So in effect, we have created a drain system that's both attractive. It looks like a park, it smells like a park, but it's not a park. It's a water system. And to do so, we used the talent of many people to build that system. And we took care of the pollution, took care of all the pollution. All of the pollution that I'm talking about is public health oriented. It's pollution that condemns our Great Lakes to a future of pollution and sewer waste and all of that. It wasn't until the 1880s or so they started building sewer systems. They used to dump it all in the river. MSU in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s used to dump their leaves in the Red Cedar River. And you know how wooded and how heavy the leaves are. They put them in 5-yard dump trucks and dump them in the river. And those big sludges of leaves would move down the river, only to mix with the toilet water and all the other crap that is put into that system. I have pictures of algae-laden Red Cedar River from the year way back. In 1905, you used to be able to jump across the Red Cedar River. Today, it's over 70 feet wide in some places. 70 feet wide. Imagine that. That's because of all of our sidewalks, all of our garage roof, all of our, and the way we build subdivisions, the way we build commercial property, all of that affects the quality of water. I want to take it back to the beginning. If you can notice my t-shirt, it says evolution for quality, or something like that. Evolution is quality. We are going to manage the water from this day forward. We're going to try to convince everybody that infrastructure is a major part of what we do. Let me go back to my education. I'm a fluvial physicist, stream morphologist, and geomorphologist. That's my common name for the trade I'm in. I'm a drain commissioner, yes, but I'm also a cultural evolutionist. And one of the evolutionary lessons that I learned in my education was that you can't have a culture with a tabletop with weak legs. You have to have strong legs. One of the legs represents a source of drinking water. You have to have a clean and reliable source of drinking water. The second is a place to put your stormwater. A place to put your stormwater is the second leg on that table. The third is a place to flush your toilet. And the fourth is a transportation system which needs drainage. Think of that image of a table with society sitting on the top, and all of those, the drain commissioner of the county of Ingham is well aware what they do. And that infrastructure is important to me. It's important to me, it's important to my staff, it's important to what we do every day. It should be important to all my engineers that work for me and all the lawyers that work for me. And I have bent over backwards to make it part of my life, to make clean water a part of my life. And I want to thank MidMEAC, especially my great friend, Dave Dempsey, who is one of my best friends. And he's one of the founders of this great organization, and so am I. But at any rate, we go back a long ways, don't we, Dave? When we sat down at a table and decided to build MidMEAC, it was quite a decision and quite a struggle.
Carla was there too.
Yep, Carla was there. She was there at most of the meetings. And we had a group of about 5 or 6 of us that sat together and planned out this organization. Who would know that one day they'd give us an award for what we'd done? So, anyway, the quality of water is most important to us. Infrastructure that manages that water is under my jurisdiction. And by God, it's going to get the pollution out. And it's going to be discharging clean water into the rivers, not polluted water. And I don't care if the townships like it or don't like it. And we have some township trustees here that are members of the board. And they're mad at me right now because they think I cost them money. And I cut into their park bench and library fund and whatever to pay for clean water. But I don't care. I really don't care. Clean water is important to all of us, and we all ought to remember how important it is. Clean water is very important, and I can't say enough about it. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Strokes, our poet laureate from Lansing, who is headed up a grant program to put signs at one of my drains. We hope to have her signs at all of our drains. So I would like to put sculptures, murals, everything that pertains to water up on these drains so you can see it and people can see it, and it reminds them continuously of how important clean water is. So I'd like to thank the staff, and I'd like to thank too the people. I don't think there are any construction people here tonight, but they looked at those plans that I devised, and they said, "What the hell has this guy been smoking?" You know, and it was weird. They've never built anything like that before, and with the guidance of my engineers, they've done a great job. If you haven't had a chance to see any of my drains, go see them. You'll like them. This spring and this summer, they all have walking paths around them. They all have ways to interact with water. They all have wild and regional wildflowers, and they don't have any exotic plants. They have mostly plants that are from the Midwest. And I can't tell you how that helps a lot, how the root systems help a lot. Take this into consideration for just a moment. The average Kentucky bluegrass lawn has a root system of about 1 inch. The coneflower, which is native to the Midwest and native to Michigan, has a root system that's 7-8 feet long. It drinks a lot of water to stay alive. We can get rid of our water before we put polluted water in the system, into the rivers that go to the Great Lakes. We have to protect the Great Lakes to protect our future. So, there you go.
You'll get a chance to